Reddit, I never thought I'd end up here. I've read stories like this before, ones with wild plot twists and insane betrayals, but I always thought, nah, not me. I'm a simple guy. Married, young, loyal, homeowner, good job, 2 dogs, 1 cat, and a quiet life just outside Atlanta. But last week everything changed. My wife Lena and I have been married for 6 years. No kids, just fur babies. Our golden retriever, Duke, is my shadow. He's loyal to the bone, sweet as sugar, and weirdly too smart for his own good. Our second dog, Bella, is more Lena's, yappy, dramatic, a little diva. About 2 months ago I noticed something odd with Duke. He started acting strange. Around 3 p.m. every day, he'd scratch at the door like he needed to go out. We have a fenced backyard, but no, Duke wanted the front. He'd bark, whine, and even nudge his leash into my lap if I was home early. I thought maybe he just wanted to chase squirrels or sniff out trash. But then I realized he'd leave for 10 to 15 minutes and come back with weird stuff. Once it was an old watch, another time a crushed up cigarette. He doesn't smoke, obviously, and neither do I. One day he came home smelling like a cheap cologne, the kind I haven't worn since college frat parties. I joked to Lena that maybe Duke had a secret life. She laughed a little too hard, but here's the thing. Lena had been acting strange too. She started getting all dolled up just to run errands, doing more solo walks, taking phone calls on the porch, whispering when I entered the room. Her usual scent, soft and vanilla, was now mixed with something musty old spice. Honestly, it reminded me of my granddad's aftershave. Weird, I know. Anyway, one day I decided to follow Duke. I left work early, waited for 2:50 p.m., and when Duke started pacing by the door, I opened it quietly and slipped out behind him. He bolted across the lawn, past 2 houses, and right through the side gate of my grandfather's house. Now before you get confused, yes, my granddad, Arthur, he's 78, but stubborn and proud. Still lives alone since Grandma passed. He and Lena always got along, maybe a little too well. She'd always joke that he was sharp for his age or call him a silver fox when she was tipsy. I never thought much of it, until that day. I crept up to the window and peeked through the blinds. My heart was racing. I didn't even know what I expected to see. A raccoon, a neighbor's dog, my granddad giving Duke snacks. What I saw was Lena, in his living room laughing, in a tight black tank top, no shoes, sitting too close on the couch, and Grandpa Arthur. He was holding her hand. I stood frozen outside my grandfather's window watching the woman. I married the one I built a whole life with, sitting in my dead grandmother's living room, barefoot, giggling, holding my 78-year-old granddad's hand like they were freaking teenagers sneaking around. And Duke, he was curled up right next to them like he'd been there 100 times. I backed away before they saw me. My stomach twisted into knots. I didn't know what the hell I had just witnessed. Was it a joke, some weird grief counseling thing, or was this what it looked like? I couldn't sleep that night. Lena came home hours later than usual and said she'd been visiting Arthur because he'd been lonely. The way she said it made my skin crawl. No guilt, no stammer, just casual familiarity. I nodded like I believed her. Inside, I was spiraling. The next morning, I called out of work and drove straight to my mom's house. I needed context, badly. Hey, weird question. Has Lena been visiting Grandpa a lot lately? Mom, yeah, actually, I thought it was sweet. She drops off groceries, sometimes bring him lunch. Why me? Did you ever get the feeling there was something off about their relationship? She gave me a look I'll never forget. Her face tightened, like she was biting back a thought. Then she said, I thought it was weird he left you the coin collection and not your dad. And the way he talks about Lena, ... like he's proud of her. But I figured he was just grateful you married someone who puts up with his cranky self. That was the first crack. That night, I installed a Ring camera on the side of my house, facing the street. I wanted to see where Lena was going every time she took her walks. Sure enough, 3 days later at 2:55 p.m. the alert went off. I watched in real time as Lena strolled right out the front door, in full makeup, carrying a little tote bag, and turned the corner toward Arthur's. I didn't say a word. I let the footage build up for a week. In the meantime, I did some digital snoop. I checked our shared desktop browser history and found multiple searches. Can age gaps be healthy in relationships? What to do if your marriage is dying? Inheritance laws, Georgia family. Yeah, you read that last one, right? Then came the real gut punch. I borrowed my mom's iPad, the one Grandma used before she passed, and found an old synced iMessage thread between Grandma and my mom. It wasn't much, but one message stood out. Grandma, I saw them again in the kitchen. She was too close. He acted like nothing was wrong. Or I just witnessed something sick. I nearly dropped the tablet. Lena and I had been married for 6 years. That message was dated 11 months after our wedding. I confronted Duke jokingly, because he's the only one I could trust at this point. I swear to God, the way that dog looked at me that night, it was like he knew. So I made a plan. I took the following Friday off, told Lena I was working overtime. Then I drove to a buddy's place to towns over, looped around the neighborhood, and waited behind a fence with my camera ready. 2:58 p.m. There she was, walking like she owned the damn sidewalk. She knocked once at Grandpa's door and walked right in, like she'd done it 100 times before. I waited 15 minutes, then walked up to the house. And when I opened that door, I saw something that shattered the last piece of me I had left. I opened the door to my grandfather's house without knocking. At that point, I didn't care anymore. I wasn't just a man investigating a cheating wife. I was a son, a grandson, a fool trying to piece together the ruble of his own family. The house smelled like old books and aftershave. And then I saw them, Lino straddling him, on his recliner laughing, kissing him like a teenager on prom night. They didn't even hear me come in. Duke was laying on the floor, chewing a sock like it was just another Tuesday. I don't remember what I said first. Maybe I screamed. Maybe I just stood there. But Lena's face when she saw me, it wasn't guilt. It was annoyance, like I'd interrupted something sacred. Arthur didn't even look embarrassed. The old man slowly stood up, buttoned his shirt and said, "Well, I suppose you were bound to find out eventually." Find out eventually. Lena tried to speak, but I told her to sit down and shut the hell up. For once I was going to do the talking, he confessed. Arthur told me he had feelings for Lena the moment he met her. When we brought her over for Sunday dinner during our first year of dating, he'd loved her in silence. He said, watched us get married. And then when I got distant, he made his move. I asked Lena when it started. She said, about 4 years ago. At first it was emotional, but it became physical after your grandmother passed. For years they had been sneaking around under my nose, using the dog as a cover. Duke wasn't just going on walks. He was their courier, their icebreaker, their silent witness. But that wasn't even the worst of it. Back home, still shaking, I opened the family safe. I knew my grandfather's will was in there. He had me scanned and store a copy for emergencies. I'd never bothered to read it in full, but now I did. And guess what? He'd updated it 8 months ago. And in it, he'd left everything: the house, the retirement accounts, even the antique car collection. Not to my mom, not even to the family trust. To Lena, the only woman who truly stood by me. I leave my estate, my home, and my heart. I felt my pulse stop. He had planned everything: the gifts, the visits, the lies, the legacy. My grandfather seduced my wife and replaced me. I moved out the next day. Lena didn't beg, she didn't even cry. She said she deserved to be loved without judgment. I left Duke behind, not because I didn't love him, but because it was clear he wasn't my dog anymore, he was theirs. My lawyer's working on an annulment. I'm contesting the will. And yes, I've got no contact with both of them. My mom cried when I told her. Said she always knew Arthur was selfish, but not this level of twisted.